Hi there, my name is Gordon McCrory. I am the happiness guy, and today I want to talk to you about why weight loss isn't a food problem, why it's not kind of a diet problem, and why you're looking in the wrong place, and this will be true for the vast majority of people. So I'm going to get straight to it, and I'm going to show you why, as I've said, weight loss isn't actually a food problem, and if you're trying to address weight loss from a diet perspective, the problems you're going to face, and then ultimately of course how to overcome them. So let's have a quick look. So the first thing that I would say is everything is influenced by your environment. So just bear with me on this. If we start at the top and we put in your environment, and your environment is obviously things like work, it's things like home, it's your journey it's your journey to and from work, it's your friends, it's actually the food that you put in you, it's the things that you see. Your environment is influencing everything. In fact, it's also things like sleep and hydration and all of that. So anything at all that affects you is your environment. Now, by affects you, it will affect how you feel. And how you feel affects an awful lot of your thoughts. Your thoughts then affect your actions. Your actions bring about the outcome. And then from there, if you get all of that right, you can transform. So let me give you a little bit more information on this end. So your actions down here are things like your diet and your exercise. And this is where most people try to influence their weight loss attempts, and that's fundamentally flawed, and here's why. If you don't feel the way you want to feel, then you're not going to think the thoughts you need to have in order to stick to your diet or get to the gym. And hopefully that makes sense. So trying with your actions to do something, if your feelings don't want you to, or your thoughts don't want you to, is just going to be like this really awful internal struggle between part of you that knows what you should be doing, but then part of you that doesn't want to do it. And that is a life, for me, that to me is a life of constant internal struggle with yourself. And I don't think there's many things worse than that. And as you go through life, if you keep doing the same things, it's just going to really destroy things like self-esteem and self-belief, and actually believing that you can get to the end of it. So for me, when people are looking at diet and things like percentage of carbs versus percentage of protein, or being on it versus off it, or all of that, you're looking in the wrong place. You actually have to go upstream. Same for exercise. You have to consider, and you actually want to start manipulating your environment so that you feel better, have better thoughts, have better actions. Let me give you a couple of examples. If through your environment you organise a great night's sleep, so you make that a priority and you have a great night's sleep, when you wake up having had a great night's sleep, you feel much better. There's a part of the brain actually that then sets the tone for the day. So how you look at, how you perceive, how you see everything is influenced by how you're feeling. And I think it was Henry Ford that said, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're probably right. Obviously I'm going to be agreeing with that. So if you feel like you can, you're going to do great. But if you don't feel like you can, or if you feel you can't, then you're not going to be able to. So if you are constantly struggling with your feelings going one way and your thoughts going another, and you just find that you're not wanting to, but you know you need to, then if you need to, that's a thought, that's in your head, but that's not a feeling, that's not an emotion. And emotion is what gets things moving. So you need to line up your thoughts and your feelings. So for me, most people, if they're overweight, and this might be a little controversial, and it won't be true for everyone, but it's true for an awful lot, they don't have a food problem, they have a problem with possibly emotional eating, or they have a problem with stress management, or they might just eat too much of the wrong things because they're bored. So they have a variety of problems that are nothing to do with calories in, calories out. These are all problems to do with emotions, or they may have a problem with self-talk. And all of those problems will never be solved by the next best diet or a great exercise regime. And if you try to solve it down here, but up here is always going wrong, that will influence everything downstream, and you will never get your outcome, and you will never transform. So I guess what I'm saying in this video is look at the root cause. Being overweight is rarely a food problem. It's that you have got something else going on, you don't feel how you want to feel, and therefore you don't do the action of exercise because you don't feel like going to the gym because you've had a terrible day, or you don't stick to your diet because you've been so strict through the week and deprived yourself that when you get to the weekend you just want to feel differently. So I think the last one, I think it was Einstein that said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Are you doing the same thing and expecting a different result? If you're trying to fix your weight and you are only addressing your diet or your exercise regime, but you find that you are constantly struggling and there's this internal conflict, then please, please, please look at emotional eating and ways to kind of improve that. Look at stress management. Find other ways of dealing with the boredom rather than just eating. Nail down your things and then get plans to solve them. Read some books on it, watch some videos, ask for some help, but don't allow these things that are holding you back today to hold you back tomorrow and in a month and in a year, and it just gets worse and you just feel worse. It's no life, and it's simply not necessary. I've been obese, I've studied nutrition, I've looked at all these things. I used to think it was diet, I used to think it was exercise, but the root of the problem is up here, guys. It's how you feel, it's the thoughts that you're having, it's more in this realm. Look in there, and if you've got any questions or comments, then just ask. I would love to help. Thank you.